Welcome to the Freeport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Survivor Series 2012 results. And here we go, straight into a on-site report from Tommy Poslaski, who attended the Survivor Series pay-per-view in Indianapolis, Indiana. He sent the following report. The arena was filled for the most part. Top third level was talked off in some areas. They announced a return to Indianapolis for Raw on March 11th. And he goes right into the pay-per-view. 3MB versus Team Cobra. 3MB worked really hard to get their gimmick over, but it seems like they're just an odd fit, especially with Jinder Mahal, and the crowd wasn't buying it one bit. McIntyre was really getting into it. It was so fun. They did react loud for the Cobra, and Zack Ryder got some decent cheers. Nothing too exciting in that match. Brodus Clay, Justin Gabriel, Tyson Kidd, Sin Cara, and Rey Mysterio versus Tensai. Primo and Epico versus Tensai. Primo and Epico, primetime players. Tensai got the most heat in the match, especially when he pinned Brodus. The crowd was behind the babyfaces the whole way through the match. The guy's report doesn't state who won or lost, but I'll give you the whole report as soon as his is done. Eve versus Caitlyn match. He comments, no one got into the match at all. Lots of people hitting the concession stand for this one. Next match was Antonio Cesaro versus R-Truth. Cesaro got a ton of heat from the crowd, and just about everyone was behind R-Truth. Pretty fun match. And then he comments on the AJ Vicky Guerrero segment. Vicky got a ton of boos as usual. People seemed disinterested in this. I don't think they realized it was Tamina Snuka because they didn't react much to her attacking AJ during the segment. Big Show versus Sheamus match. Sheamus was getting a lot of cheers from the crowd, and they were completely behind him. Not as good as their match from Hell in a Cell, but still fun. It was amazing to see Sheamus lift Big Show on his shoulders. I guess we can assume that this feud will continue into TLC, setting up a chairs match. And they are scheduled to face each other live from Bossier City CenturyLink Center in more than a week. A week from tomorrow, to be exact, for the SmackDown. Spoilers, which you will catch here. Team Ziggler versus Team Foley. Everyone seemed upset when Otunga was announced as the surprise replacement to Cody Rhodes. This says concussion, and I will give you an update on his injury on the next video. A lot of people were expecting Orton to heel turn, but it looked like they were heading in that direction. Lots of tension between him and Miz. Miz got some cheers, but not as loud as last week on Raw. Daniel Bryan's yes chants were very over with this crowd. They ate up everything he did. It was really fun match, and a lot of people looked shocked to see Ziggler win with a super kick. Yeah, that was the only results that that this guy gave. For a winner. CM Punk versus John Cena versus Ryback. Cena was out first and got mostly boos from the crowd. Punk got a mixed reaction, and Ryback got a lot of cheers. As soon as the match started, they loved the chant, "Feed me more." This was a fun match, and everyone was really into it. During the match, I could see a ref running behind the floor, seating back and forth with a bunch of security guys, listening to their earpieces like they were setting up for something. Not long after that, the three guys dressed in black jumped the barrier and threw Ryback through a table. The reporter, Tommy, is also my name, recognized Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose immediately, but not Roman Reigns. Speaking of Roman Reigns, well, I found out that he is The Rock's cousin, Dwayne Johnson's cousin. The crowd seemed speechless. They had no idea who these guys were and seemed pretty much upset with the finish. After the pay-per-view went off the air, Ryback made his way to the back and the crowd continued to chant, "Feed me more." And he goes on, overall, it was a fun show to see live. The crowd was up and down all night. Lots of Punk and Ryback shirts in the crowd. And of course, there were plenty of kids reaping Cena's new shirt. It should be interesting to see where they go with Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns. Biggest pop for the fans, Ryback, Sheamus, Randy Orton, and Daniel Bryan. Most boos, Vicky Guerrero, John Cena, Big Show, and Antonio Cesaro. And now for your pre-show results for the pay-per-view. Scott Stanford and Matt Striker introduced the show. Striker was observing November, or he has an awful taste in facial hair. The announcers ran through the lineup, and graphics showed a question mark where Cody Rhodes was once slotted in the Survivor Series elimination match. And they showed footage of Rhodes suffering the injury on the main event show from the match when he landed bad from a back body drop, landed on his shoulder and head hit at the same time. Backstage, Dolph Ziggler told his team that he found a suitable replacement for Cody. He said the replacement is strong and smart. Ziggler introduced David Otunga. The rest of the team groaned along with the fans. Dolph told them they need to get on the same page. They bickered a bit, and Dolph tried to fire them up by asking if they are with him. They weren't enthusiastic. "You've got to be kidding me," Ziggler said. "This is ours to win." Well, a commercial aired for Brawling Buddies. A video recapped the Big Show and Sheamus feud. And we have Heath Slater and Jinder Mahal with Drew McIntyre in their corner versus Santino Marella and Zack Ryder. The announcers said McIntyre had been away booking venues in Europe. Santino got some comedy early on, and they then sold for a good portion of the match. Jinder Mahal got the pin for his team. And the match only took 6 minutes 15 seconds off the pre-show from the 30 minutes. Yeah, they changed the match back to what was originally advertised. It switched to Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd versus 3MB at one point. Not sure whether it was addressed by the announcers. Then they showed an ad airing for WWE 13. The announcer spoke at the desk. Stanford said, "Forget the Indy 500 and the Colts because the Survivor Series is going to turn Indianapolis on its ear." Then they showed a video recapping AJ and John Cena's saga. Backstage, Josh Matthews interviewed R-Truth and about the U.S. title match. They did a bit where it seemed like R-Truth denied the existence of Little Jimmy, but then said Jimmy was in the bathroom. He made Josh apologize to Little Jimmy. No one laughed. Announcers hyped the pay-per-view main event. A video hyping the triple threat match with CM Punk versus John Cena versus Ryback to close the pre-show. And now for your Survivor Series results. A video opened the show and showcased the Big Show versus Sheamus and the triple threat matches. Michael Cole saw Jerry the King Lawler and JBL were all on commentary. During the opening match introduction, JBL told King, "No heart attacks, please." Cole noted it was their first time working together as a trio. Match number 1 brought us play with Cameron and Naomi, the Funkadactyls. Jesse Gabriel, Tyson Kidd, Sin Cara, and Rey Mysterio versus primetime players Primo and Epico with Rosa in their corner, and Tensai in a Survivor Series elimination tag match. The first one. Clay appeared to have lost a considerable amount of weight. Sin Cara and Mysterio were not exactly matching pink gear. Sin Cara had a different shade of pink that looked good. Mysterio looked like he was wearing little girl pajamas. Hostess goes out of business and Brodus Clay loses weight. Coincidence? That's Hostess Twinkies. That's for those that haven't heard. Hostess Twinkies is no longer in existence. Tensai tagged in at one point and received loud Albert taunts. The heels worked over Sin Cara until he made a hot tag to Brodus Clay, who splashed Tensai in the corner, Clay hit a big move on 3 opponents. And then Mysterio and Sin Cara held the ropes open for Gabriel to dive on the players. Mysterio and Sin Cara followed up with a acai moonsault on Primo and Epico on the outside. Tensai and Clay were left in the ring for a super heavyweight showdown. It started horribly with Clay botching a move and dropping Tensai on his face. Tensai came right back and ended up pinning Clay, who seemed to be the most over guy in the ring. Tensai eliminated Clay in 8 minutes 25 seconds. Short time later, Gabriel caught Tensai with a crucifix pin for the 3 count. And that was at the 10 minute 20 second mark. Kid eliminated Titus O'Neil at the 14 minute mark with a wheelbarrow victory roll. Kid applied sharpshooter on Epico, who tapped out. Kid eliminated Epico at 15 minutes. Coleslaw noted that Kid took out Epico with Bret Hart's move at Survivor Series. I'm sure he'll be mad about that too. JBL said of Bret, funny. Mysterio checked in and got the better of Primo. Mysterio twisted around Primo into a pin. Mysterio eliminated Primo at the 17 minute and 20 second mark. Darren Young was the final member of his team. The babyfaces took turns hitting high spots on Gabriel. It ended with Mysterio performing a top rope splash. Mysterio eliminated Young at the 18 minute 25 second mark. So we got the faces defeating. They were the Rey Mysterio, Sin Cara, Tyson Kidd, and Justin Gabriel were the survivors for their entire team. It was surprising to see them get rid of the heavyweights early on to focus on the tag teams. I'm not complaining. The crowd was a little flat when Clay was eliminated, but they woke up when Kidd locked in a sharpshooter. Caitlyn was shown walking backstage, getting ready for her match, when she was attacked by a woman in a blonde wig. Caitlyn roughed up the woman and pulled off the wig to reveal Oksana. Eve showed up and asked if Caitlyn was okay. Caitlyn shoved Eve down and mocking as if she was okay. I myself did not see that during the pay-per-view. I guess I went to get me a drink. Eve versus Caitlyn for the WWE Divas Championship. Zero reaction from Caitlyn's entrance. She brought the wig with her. Caitlyn got a few scattered cheers when she stood on the ropes and played to the crowd. Caitlyn jumped out fast to a fast start to get over her anger. Eve came back and the crowd actually showed that they were paying attention when they mocked her for slipping as she was trying to climb the ropes. Caitlyn pushed Eve over the ropes to regain control. Back inside the ring, Eve begged off. Caitlyn slapped her across the face and got a good reaction from the crowd. Caitlyn grabbed Eve by her hair and threw her aggressively to the ground. She repeated the move a couple of times and then dropped Eve onto her knee and got a 2 count. Eve held onto the ring apron to prevent Caitlyn from pulling her back in the middle of the ring. When Caitlyn approached her, Eve pulled the ring apron so that Caitlyn tripped. Eve followed up with a neck breaker and scored a clean pin. Eve worked hard and took a lot of hard bumps. The crowd didn't seem too much to care about it, but the effort was there. Announcers aired brief footage of Team Ziggler not getting along during the free preview. Backstage, Mick Foley watched as Kane and Daniel Bryan bickered, and Miz and Kofi Kingston bickered. Randy Orton sat in the corner and acted like he could care less. Foley yelled, "Enough!" and tried to bring them all together. He asked them to put their hands together and say, "Bang, bang." Everyone other than Orton complied. Orton stood up. "I hate you." Orton told Foley. Mick said that means Orton is ready. Well, next up we had Antonio Cesaro cutting a promo about Thanksgiving while making his way to the ring. He mocked the idea of the United States having something to be thankful for aside him holding the U.S. title. The crowd actually booed the throwaway promo and cheered with R-Truth making his entrance. Well, they started the match and Cesaro applied a rear waist lock early on. The crowd was so flat you could have dropped a pin on the floor and heard it. And they thought you could have thought a Divas match was also in progress. They came to life a bit when Truth performed his usual offense. Truth performed a new suplex into a jawbreaker, but the camera view was lousy and he only got a 2 count. Cesaro avoided a head scissors kick and fired back with a big uppercut. Cesaro followed up with a neutralizer and scored a clean pin, which only took 7 minutes. A dull and predictable match. Well, a TLC match featuring David Otunga aired. It was set up like every TV lawyer commercial. Sheamus showed up and hit Otunga with a chair. Michael Cole noted that The Rock has been tweeting throughout the show. Rock said it doesn't matter who wins the triple threat match, as he dubbed himself the next WWE champion. Low lights aired of the AJ, John Cena, Vicky Guerrero, and Dolph Ziggler storyline. As Coleslaw noted that AJ tweeted that Vicky had been caught red-handed and she'll have evidence of her own. Well, we get AJ Lee skipping to the ring. She said Vicky Guerrero has given her no choice but to do what she's about to do. She said people start throwing out accusations when they have their own lies to hide. Vicky Guerrero stormed out. AJ pointed to the big screen where a photo of Vicky and Ricardo Rodriguez eating burritos together was shown. She showed another photo of Vicky and Jim Ross eating barbecue. Vicky said none of that happened. AJ asked why she's getting so worked up if it never happened. A third photo showed of Brodus Clay dancing with Vicky wearing lingerie next to him. Of course, all of the photos received the Photoshop treatment. AJ said she wanted Vicky to feel as ridiculous as she has. Vicky said reality won't be slapping AJ in the face. It will be her. Well, AJ stared at Vicky, who backed up. AJ smiles and said she doesn't want to fight and noted that she'll lose her job if she lays a hand on her. She said the board of directors also told Vicky that she will lose her job if she lays a hand on her. Tamina came out and attacked AJ from behind. Tamina performed a Samoan drop and followed up with a Superfly splash. The angle didn't do anything for me at all. Heck, it was so fast I couldn't even see who it was. But hopefully this means AJ will be spending more time in the ring with Tamina and less time playing photoshopping games with Vicky. Commercial aired for the Attitude Era DVD. I guess they should have went with a dual pack when you bought the game. Attitude Era video game. Well, you get the Attitude Era DVD. Backstage, Josh Matthews interviewed Paul Heyman. He asked if CM Punk had any tricks left in his bag that he could use to get out of a triple threat match with the WWE Championship. Heyman took exception and boasted that Punk is on 364 of his WWE Championship run and now has the 8th longest reign in WWE history. Back to go what I was just saying a few seconds ago. Now, I said that idea first with the dual pack idea. Copyright infringement if they do. Well, back to Heyman, and Heyman said Ryback is taking us back to the caveman era by jacking his knuckles across the ring. And Punk became the first man to defeat him. Heyman said Punk is prepared to not only survive the triple threat, but he will thrive. Heyman said Punk isn't just the WWE champion, he's the best in the world. Announcer spoke at ringside and shifted the focus to the World Heavyweight Championship match. Video recapping Big Show versus Sheamus rivalry. First hour and change of the show was pretty lousy. Good news is that the bottom of the card looked weak on paper and we managed to survive it. Well, at least I suspect most of us survived. I guess that's why we call it Survive or Survivor Series, because we're surviving it. You might want to check on your friends and family members who are watching the show just to be on the safe side. See if they haven't passed out from any boringness. Match number 4, Big Show versus Sheamus for the World Heavyweight Championship. Justin Roberts handled the in-ring introductions for the main event. Show left welts on Sheamus' chest with big slaps early. Sheamus came back briefly, but Show speared him in midair. And Sheamus jumped from the second rope. Show controlled early portion of the match again. He went for the second rope for a Vader bomb, but Sheamus snuck up underneath him for a counter. Sheamus got Show on his shoulders, held him up there for like 5 seconds, while the crowd wowed and marveled over the display of strength for Sheamus. And Sheamus dropped backwards, and Cole Saul telegraphed a near fall by going on and on about Sheamus. He was about to win the title. Well, Show got up and got a choke slam at 12 minutes 40 seconds. Sheamus avoided it and performed white noise for a 2 count. The crowd was quiet during Show's early offense, but they popped for Sheamus' impressive strength displays. Sheamus pounded his chest in the corner, sets up the brogue kick. As the crowd was wanting it, he went for it, but Show pulled the referee Armstrong in front of him, and Armstrong took the brogue kick instead. 2 trainers came out, and 2 referees came out to check on Armstrong, which was a ref bump on the match. Sheamus was apologetic. When Sheamus turned around, Show caught him with the WWE knockout punch and pinned him. However, the replacement referee spoke to one another, and then the ring announcer. Justin Roberts announced that Show had been disqualified. The actual referee did state that Big Show won the match. You can see during the match, one of the trainers was actually looking over his shoulder at seeing what was going on, and telling something to the referee, so he wasn't actually hurt at all, to set up the other referee coming in to do the pinfall. Well, Big Show. Okay, where was I at? Okay. 2 trainers and a referee ran up to check on him. Okay. Justin Roberts announced that Show had been disqualified. Well, Big Show went to Randy Orton, or the show went to Randy Orton on us swearing and being censored as he yelled at the referee afterwards. "This is the World Championship, dumbass." Big Show said uncensored. Show then continued to bicker with the referee. Sheamus recovered and struck Show with a chair repeatedly. Show begged him to stop at one point. Please, don't hit me again. And loud one more time chant broke out as Sheamus struck him again with a few more times with a chair. Sheamus told Show to beg. Show complied. Sheamus threw the chair down and turned around, but then turned back and drilled Show with a brogue kick. Show crawled to the back, and the fans chanted for Dolph Ziggler. Everybody was expecting him, which would have been a great spot for him to win and cash in the Money in the Bank. It didn't happen. Sheamus defeated Big Show by disqualification, as Big Show retains the World Heavyweight Championship in 14 minutes 40 seconds. This would appear to set up a chair match at next month's TLC pay-per-view. The match wasn't as hot as their match at Hell in a Cell. It was simply because aspects of the match were similar. Still, it was an entertaining event. And the finish was executed nicely, with Show pulling Armstrong into him at just the right time. Should have been a disqualification right there anyways. They could play up the beating that Show took with a chair to set up their next match. This felt like the middle of the match of their program. And thus the fact that we didn't see a clean finish was no surprise. That being said, 61% of the .net voters who expected a Dolph Ziggler Money in the Bank cash-in to appear to be wrong. 28% expected the Show to retain, and only 11% expected a title change. It's closer with the next match. 58% of the voters picked Team Foley to win the elimination match, and 42% expected Team Ziggler to win. Match number 5, Team Ziggler, Dolph Ziggler, Damian Sandow, Alberto Del Rio with Ricardo Rodriguez, with David Otunga as the replacement, and Wade Barrett. versus Team Foley of Randy Orton, Kane, Daniel Bryan, Kofi Kingston, and The Miz in a Survivor Series elimination tag match. Mick Foley was with his team at ringside. At 2 minutes 30 seconds in the match, Sandow tried to leave the ring because he was getting roughed up. For God knows what reason, Kane ran after him and brought him back into the ring. Fortunately, Kane chokeslammed him out and got the pin. He would look like a major idiot. Clearly, he's no scholar. Kane eliminated him. 2 minutes 50 seconds in the match. Kane and Bryan started arguing. Kane grabbed Bryan by the throat and pushed him over the top rope. Kane returned around and took the zigzag. Dolph Ziggler eliminated Kane. 1 minute later, at 3 minutes 30 seconds in, Otunga tagged in and got the better of Bryan briefly. JBL said, "You have to love a guy who marries well." Bryan came right back and made Otunga tap to the Borgasm lock. Daniel Bryan eliminated David Otunga in 7 minutes. Wade Barrett hit the souvenir, which is now called the Bullhammer. Wow, they changed it from SmackDown to the pay-per-view. Bullhammer. On Kofi and got the win. Wade Barrett eliminated Kofi in 9 minutes 30 seconds. Del Rio checked in and got the better of Bryan. Del Rio applied the cross arm breaker and got the quick tap out. Alberto Del Rio eliminated Daniel Bryan 12 minutes 30 seconds, leaving none other than The Miz and Randy Orton left. Announcers made a big deal out of The Miz tagging in for the first time. He didn't stick around long and tagged in Orton. JBL told us if you made a sports entertainer from scratch, he would look like Orton. Orton made a hot tag to Miz, who hits a flurry of offense on the heels. Miz hit the skull-crushing finale on Barrett and eliminated him in 15 minutes 55 seconds. The match was down to Orton and Miz versus Del Rio and Ziggler. Del Rio caught Miz with a jumping enziguri in the corner and pinned him. Alberto Del Rio eliminated Miz in 17 minutes 10 seconds. Orton entered slowly and confidently. As JBL said, Orton has been the sole survivor for his team 3 years in a row. Del Rio got the better of Orton and went to the ropes. Del Rio jumped off and right into a drop kick from Orton. Ricardo did distracted him, setting up the finish. Del Rio caught Orton with a kick that put Miz away, but he only got a 2 count. Foley punched Ricardo on the floor and pulled out Sacco for the mandible claw. Orton went for the RKO. Ziggler entered the ring and drop kicked Del Rio awkwardly. Orton hit the RKO on Del Rio moments later, and Randy Orton pinned Alberto Del Rio 20 minutes 50 seconds. The match came down to Orton and Ziggler. Orton struck Viper pose. He went for the RKO, but Ziggler held the ropes. Dolph hit zigzag and got a close fall, but didn't get the full fall. A good portion of the live crowd seemed very disappointed and surprised that Orton kicked out. Orton had a bloody lip. He performed a hanging DDT. He wiped some of the blood from his lip and immediately changed his mind of whatever he was going to do. And then he looked down at Ziggler. The announcers questioned what Orton was doing. Orton back in the corner, setting up for the punt kick, what everybody thought. However, Orton ran into a super kick and was pinned. Dolph Ziggler pinned Randy Orton in 23 minutes, 20 seconds to be the sole survivor for his team. No one seemed to know what was up with Orton before he backed into the corner for the punt kick. They haven't seen it in a long time. They did a close-up of Foley, who looked very disappointed. I wonder if he'll tear into Orton on Raw. It's a punt kick. They did a quick close-up shot of Foley. It's a punt kick, a big win. A big win for Ziggler, but the key is the follow-up. It won't mean a damn thing if he loses tomorrow night on Raw, or it just becomes business as usual for him in the near future. After all, Wade Barrett and Cody Rhodes were the last man standing when they won a Survivor Series match over Orton last year, and look what it did for them. Then the WWE showed the fan touts. One guy intentionally screamed, "Feed him more," over and over again. A video set up Triple H, the Triple Threat main event. John Cena makes his entrance with his newest t-shirt. It has 10 on the shoulder, presumably to commemorate the 10th year of his main roster character. CM Punk and Paul Heyman were out next. Ryback was out last. He has his Nexus-like yellow and black armbands that read R instead of N now. And your main event was CM Punk with Paul Heyman versus John Cena versus Ryback in a triple threat for the WWE Championship. Cena took the early powder. Punk got the better of Ryback momentarily, but then Ryback no-sold and performed a fall-away slam that got Punk out of the ring. Cena entered back in the ring and performed a belly-to-belly suplex on Ryback. Punk recovered and hit a top rope move on both men. Punk knocked Cena to the ringside with a discus punch. Punk worked over Ryback, but Cena entered the ring and rolled him up for a 2 count. They continued to perform rapid-fire spots with one guy outside the ring, but the odd man out always recovers quickly. Ryback no-sold a Cena move. 8 minutes 30 seconds in, Ryback picked up Punk for his finisher. Cena re-entered the ring and tripped up Ryback from behind and locked him into STF. The announcers noted that it was the first time they'd seen Ryback in real trouble, and he was holding out his hand and selling the hold by grunting. Punk came off the top rope with an elbow drop to break the hold at 9 minutes 25 seconds in. Later, Punk and Cena teamed up to suplex Ryback through the announcer's table. Back inside the ring, Cena hit 4 of the 5 moves of doom, but Punk caught him with a GTS for a close fall. Cena came back with an attitude adjustment, and this time Punk kicked out. Punk fired away at Cena and with kicks at 14 minutes 30 seconds. Cena dodged one of the kicks and tried to apply the STF. Punk avoided it. Punk caught Cena with a high knee in the corner as Ryback continued to sell the suplex through the table. Cena applied the STF at 15 minutes 20 seconds in. Ryback recovered and pulled Cena from the ring and then clotheslined him to the floor at 15 minutes 30 seconds. Ryback got Phoebe more chance going and performed shell shock on Punk. Ryback went for the cover, but Cena recovers and broke up the pin. Ryback picked up Cena and dropped him with a shell shock. Suddenly, 3 men dressed in black hit the ring and attacked Ryback. The 3 men were Seth Rollins, a.k.a. Tyler Black from the Ring of Honor, Roman Reigns, that's real name, Joe Inoue, as The Rock's cousin, and Dean Ambrose, a.k.a. John Moxley. They slammed Ryback through the Spanish announcer's table. Takes him out of the match completely. Cole Saw now acknowledged the 3 men by name and noted that they are from WWE's NXT promotion. Punk recovered and covered Cena, who was still knocked out from taking shell shock. Referee counted the pin. The announcers noted that the 3 NXT wrestlers only attacked Ryback. CM Punk defeated John Cena and Ryback to win the triple threat match to retain in 18 minutes even. Well, that should get the internet talking. The buzz was that we'd be seeing NXT call-ups before the end of the year. The crowd was flat for the attack. After all, it's not like most of them see NXT these days, since the show airs on Hulu Plus in the United States rather than on regular TV outside of Florida. The actual finish was no surprise, as it should be fun to see how Punk celebrates day number 365 on Raw. Will it be the new version of the WWE Championship? I have a hunch that the online fans are a lot crazier about the finish than the casual fans are. Fortunately, Ambrose is such a good talker that he should be able to get everyone on board if he's given a chance. It's also worth noting that they're still airing the Brad Maddox footage during the pre-match video package. It's definitely possible that they will position this as the 3 men going for revenge for Maddox, though they could also be in cahoots with Punk. Thus, setting all 5 members of them. We got the Maddox, Ambrose, Moxley, or Ambrose, Inoue, and Roman Reigns, Ambrose, and Seth Rollins. Well, that ends my results for your Survivor Series.